right, all. Welcome to the page. My name is Patrice Peris, and I'm a vocal coach who has been in this industry for over 10 years. And I'm thrilled to share with you all a warm-up that you can use for your everyday that will get things into place. So let's go. Okay, so a lot of artists will come to me and they will say, Patrice, yep, I'm warmed up. I'll say, fabulous. Okay, what did you do for your warm up? They'll say, well, I sang some songs. I'm like, no. As much as that's, I'm like, oh, great, I'm happy you're singing and so forth. It's really not what we want to be doing as vocalists. Think about it this way, right? An athlete just doesn't go, hey, coach, I'm a sprinter, and I went out and just did some sprints to warm up. They'd be like, did you get your muscles warmed up? Did you stretch? Did you make sure, because all of that stuff is super important so that if your muscles are tense, and you're going out there and then you're running on them, you're more prone to injury. So I'm not a crazy athlete, love working out, but that is not necessarily my forte. So you can check out more into that. But I think the analogy of it seems to, I hope that makes sense for you all, that if you kind of think about it, it would seem like, yeah, no, or say someone's getting ready for a basketball game, they would practice, they would maybe do some dribbling just to kind of get things into place, get things going. And it's the same that holds true for singers. We want to get things into place as vocalists. And what I frequently use the word placement, right? And what I mean by that is getting that sound nice and forward, right? We don't want to be singing. The last thing we want to be doing as vocalists is singing in our throat, hey, or into our nose. Those are more unpleasant sounds. They're going to lead us to potential vocal damage. They're going to limit our range. They're just not, and it's really not our natural voice. When we're kind of throwing things into these other places, it's not really our voice. And so that being said, we want a nice solid warm up. That also doesn't mean that you have to be warming up for hours, right? Some people ask, well, how long should I warm up? I'm like, a good 10, 15 minutes can be sufficient. Sometimes as you're learning new things, you may spend a little extra time because you're stopping, you're kind of making sure, and with all this, that you're putting things into good, that you're using the technique, like we'll get into in a bit, some good breathing, making sure the muscles are engaged and so forth. So it might take you a little longer because you might be stopping, which you should, and make sure certain technical things are in. Because if you're just singing through scales, if you're just doing the warm-ups just to say you did them, it's not really, if it's not in good form, it's not really going to help towards becoming an incredible vocalist. And that's obviously why you all are here. So I'm going to walk you through some exercises that are amazing for getting things going, getting things into place, forward part of the mouth, taking that tension off here, getting our stomach muscles engaged, because we're going to use these muscles here to help push the sound rather than pushing from our throat. But also keep in mind, below this video or in the link wherever you are coming from, there is a link to a free module from my vocal program, Learn to Sing Like the Pros. You can sign up for that today, and I dive a bit more into depth with some of these things. There'll be some other exercise that you can do, and also a really cool guide of songs that you can use and their ranges that you can take a look at to see, and how to even test your range. I won't get into depth with that today here, but please be sure, sign up below and you can get access to that for free. So moving forward, what is the first thing that you should always do as a vocalist when you are getting ready to sing? Well, guess what? The first thing you should do is actually physically warm up. So some things that you can do for that there is you can literally start by starting to roll the muscles. What this is going to help to do, in particular too, I should say as a side note, we want to be taking the tension off of the neck here. So because our vocal cords are here, I always feel like I have to explain this because it's so important to go, okay, great, I'm rolling my shoulders, but like, why? And it's like, well, your vocal cords are here. They open when we breathe in, they close when we swallow. Up, try that there. So cool, you can feel them. And when we are speaking or singing, air passes through, cause them to go between open and closed positions, vibrate, and that is a huge part of what is responsible for sound. So imagine this, right? The higher we go, ooh, they tighten. The lower we go, they loosen. Imagine this. You go to hit some notes, and there's a rubber band around them. It's gonna make them so much harder. So don't do that to yourself. So that is why, going back to this here, we're gonna do these exercises. So starting again, we're gonna roll the shoulders. We're gonna make sure both ways there. Actually feels really good too. That's what I would say there. And you can do these exercises too, as many times as you need to. So that's the first exercise. The next one I'm gonna show you is actually an exercise to stretch the neck. Now, you never actually want to roll your neck. You could potentially pinch a nerve, and that's no fun. It's not what we want as vocalists. So when I show you this here, make sure you really pause, you stop, you watch it a few times if need be to make sure that your positioning is correct. That's an important thing. So I'm keeping my shoulders straight. I'm gonna look to the side. Direction of, like, if you have a pant pocket, you're gonna see that direction there. Same hand comes up. Where my ponytail is, I'm gonna give it a nice pull. And I'm feeling the stretch right down here. It feels so good. And it stretches those muscles there. Keep the other hand down. And you're gonna hold it for a good 10, 15 seconds. So then, do the other side. We wanna balance that out. Come up. I give a nice stretch. That feels so good. And through here. Stretching that there. And then you're gonna do the middle. Doesn't matter what hand you use, but again, I'm coming up. This I can feel going right down my back. I feel it up here on the sides of my neck, and I feel it there. So we're gonna do that. And again, if you're really, really tense, you can do that a few times. Now keep in mind, because a lot of people turn it into this exercise, which isn't wrong. You're gonna notice when you do this one that it doesn't stretch the same as back here. So if you're super tight, you can definitely add that in, and you're just doing a nice little stretch there. And then the other thing that you can do is even massage the muscles back here. Really make sure that is off, because the tension here, and I felt that before too, and I've been like, oh my gosh, when I'm really like, say something's happening, or like there's tension that builds up, or I don't stretch enough, I'll start to feel that, and it totally reflects in my sound. Maybe not at the very beginning of singing, but after singing for a while, it's like, oh yeah, no, could have done that a few more times. So be sure to run through that a few times as need be. The last part of this that you can do is massage the muscles here. As vocalists, we're going to be using our mouths a lot when singing, and we're going to need to be able to be flexible enough to move the mouth as need be. If I'm doing a big high note, I can't be closed on that, so I need this to be nice and relaxed. Now, if you do have jaw problems, I would see there's a few things that you could be running into. You could be grinding your teeth at night, and that is something you could go talk with a dentist about. They have night guards. Another thing too, sometimes adjustments can help to kind of make sure if it's not necessarily that you're grinding your teeth, but there's something that's out of alignment. Those are my kind of recommendations, but definitely consult doctor, so forth. They can help you even more so. But you do want to handle the issue with the jaw, because it is an important part of singing that we are using, and you don't want it clicking, you don't want it feeling out of place. You're not going to be as apt to open up, which is so important. So check that out there. But you can run through that series of exercises again as many times as need be. When you're like, okay, great, the end result is I'm like, okay, yeah, no, I took some tension off. Things are kind of nice and loose here. I'm doing pretty good. You can shake your knees if you're standing. Make sure you take that tension off, kind of kick your legs out a little bit, because if your knees are tight, it's going to shoot that tension right up your body. And again, stuff we don't want. So that is the first thing that you can do, is make sure to warm up your body. Okay, let's move forward. Okay, as you can see, I'm standing up because it is so important that the next thing you want to roll into with a good warm-up is making sure that you really get in diaphragmatic breathing. This is crucial. Why is this crucial? Because we don't want to be using, when you chest breathe, which is what a lot of beginner singers do, is they breathe into their chest. That's shallow breathing. You're not getting in as much air. You're tightening the muscles here, and it's going to tend to place things, which we don't want, in our throat, can lead to shallow kind of sounds there. Again, non-optimum. So, but when we are using diaphragmatic breathing, you can see I'm going to use my stomach muscles to push the sound. It's kind of like, and it's going to, it's kind of like the engine of a car is what I'll describe it a lot as. That's the value of it. It's our energy source. It's going to keep things going. We're going to, we need to go a little higher. Yeah. I'm going to push a little bit more on the stomach muscles. Like you're going to push a little bit more if you wanted to go faster in your car. So diaphragmatic breathing, what I want to show you right now is the actual picture of the diaphragm, because if you don't know what that is, it will be hard to kind of do this, right? Like, wait a second, what is she talking about? So this right here, my friends, that's your diaphragm, and is attached to the lungs and is ultimately a big portion of what we are going to be utilizing when it comes to breathing and singing. So with this exercise, you can just start by putting one hand on your chest, one in your stomach. This is a nice guide. We're making sure that there's minimum movement in the chest, and ultimately we're feeling that right down in through here. Some people too, if your posture isn't the best, you can put two hands on your side. As you can see, my shoulders went back because your diaphragm does go back, so you can feel it. I could feel it on my sides, and I can see it in my front too, right? So with this one, I always like to do this one here. I can feel it the most when it goes this. You're aiming for the ear to go inside. Now, when you're breathing in, a lot of people instinctively want to do this. We're going to be seeing the stomach go out. What's happening is, think about the in of a balloon. When you breathe into a balloon, it expands. It doesn't get smaller. So when we're doing in now, our stomach is going to get bigger. So you can do a few rounds of that there. Really make sure this is in. Take your time with this, especially in the beginning. If you are not doing this, do not rush past this. It's not necessarily going to happen overnight, so it doesn't mean that you have to sit there and, drill hours on it. But just a little bit, 10 minutes a day goes a long way. I just rhymed. Be here all day. So you take a nice breath in again. And slowly letting that out. You're aiming to control the stomach muscles. You don't hear much coming out at this stage, just because really getting the stomach muscles used to doing the work. Another great exercise you can do is some nice light shouts of, hey, 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 ha, 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 ha. See my stomach muscles engaging there. What the goal with that one too is, you want to make sure that when you're doing that the stomach muscles are working, and you saw the movement there, but also that you're not, hey, 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 hey. That actually makes my throat tickle. I'm like, ooh, that doesn't feel so good, right? We want to make sure that when we're doing that, we're projecting to the front part of the mouth. If that means you need to open up a little bit more, make sure that's nice and open. Hey, 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 hey. Also keep my tongue forward. We're going to get into that in a second, but that's where you can start. Do some nice breathing. Getting that in and out. I would probably do a good 5 minutes of that. If you get lightheaded, stop, take a moment, step aside, because ultimately what's happening there is your body, especially as you do this in the beginning, is getting used to more oxygen. So it's trying to level itself out. That's a common thing that happens. And then once you feel good with that there, start to engage the muscles. Hey, 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 hey. And make sure, again, you're not, hey, 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 hey. We don't want that there. So we have warming up the body. We have some good breathing exercises there. The last part of that one is you can see how long you're able to exhale for. You don't want to bring it to a point where it's like, you're kind of doing that there. I kind of rushed it through. But like I would say it's like squeezing a rag, right? It's like, ooh, trying to drip it out just till it goes in, and then you can reset there. So let's move forward. Okay. So the next thing you want to roll into is literally some lip rolls. These are really, really great. You'll probably see, just like the breathing, you're going to see a lot of vocal coaches addressing this. And I always say, guys, if you see a trend amongst people that are successful or have knowledge in the area that you're seeking to understand more about, there may be some value to that. So that being said, this is also a great exercise, as like a little side note, for cooling down. Not only do we want to warm up, but if you sing a lot, you do want to make sure that you get in the habit of cooling down. So keep this as one of those that you can use for that as well. So that being said, when you're doing this here, you want to make sure that with the lip roll, you're keeping things nice and light. We're not into the point here where we want to be doing really hard stuff. We're moving things up, and that's how it should be with a warm up on gradients, slowly getting things, muscles engaged, muscles relaxed, our face moving. And now we're going to be applying good diaphragmatic breathing with some vocalization with the vocal cords. So with this, we're going to start off light, and then we're going to work our way into some higher notes there. Okay, so let's get into it. So we're going to start lower, keeping things light. Also make sure to keep things nice and open. Good breathing. Then we're going to go back up. Start to go into that mid-higher range, keeping things light. Always good support. Always only go to where it feels comfortable for you. You don't want to do and you're starting to just do the notes. Doesn't work that way. Keep it light. And you can keep that. And again, as always, you can click the link below and you can find some tracks to use on your own end. So I hope that helps there. Again, keep it nice and light. Let's move forward. Okay, before we get into a scale warm-up that you can use and do to help get things into place for a good warm-up, I want to cover one other thing, and that is just when you are starting to go, you might do some nice open mouth yawns. You're really opening things up. That really helps to open the vocal cords here, essentially opening the throat. It drops the larynx a little. That's extremely important in like higher notes. And with that too, you really want to focus your energy and effort on keeping the tongue forward. So with that being said, you might do a couple of nice yawns. If you can't, even just breathing in with a nice open mouth. And again, you're always applying good breathing on that end. So you can, hey, what do you got? I look crazy. It just feels so good. So do, I'd say a couple minutes of that there. All right, so you've made it to the scale warm-up. You always, again, want to start lighter and move your way into the higher notes. So we'll start first with the lower range. You can do a nice 1, 2, 3, 2, 1 scale. If that's a bit advanced for you, definitely reach out and contact myself. My information's in the link below. But most people can start with this here, but some people need to start with just what's called a single note. And that could be that it's just the energy level and so forth, or where they feel most comfortable. So never feel, that there isn't, if this isn't working for you, that there aren't other things for you. Again, today's goal was just to give a basic 10-minute warm-up that you can use, but there's so many different things that you can. There's different warm-ups, there's different scales, there's a multitude of different things that can be done. And if this isn't working when it comes to the scale end here, definitely reach out. And it might just be, if you need some ear training and you're not hearing the notes, that's another issue that will arise at times with people. And so don't feel bad. Don't feel like, oh my God, this isn't for me. It's just, we all work on different levels. We all have different gradients. We all have different starting points. And so I hate that like kind of one size fits all. I'm like, okay, in theory, but like, does it really? And so it's the same that holds true here. There's certain things that you can always use, like in the beginning of the year, when it comes to breathing, when it comes to, the lip rolls, that tends to be great things that across the board. And even with the lip rolls too, is that like that can be frustrating for people when they can't do them. Don't beat yourself up. Stay persistent. These things can take time. So again, if you have trouble with these, definitely reach out. It might just be that it's too steep a gradient, which means that it's kind of jumped too high above where things are at. Don't beat yourself up. You will get there if you stay your course and you get the right knowledge. So, but moving forward, what I want to give you today is a basic 1, 2, 3, 2, 1 scale that you can use. And what we're doing with this, again, we're really aiming the lower stuff. Maybe before I'll finish my sentence, really aiming to have that sound come forward. When you think of that lower stuff, you're going to be thinking about right in through here with your lips. You're going to want to maintain a nice open space. I almost say like a C. I'm just going to do, and we're going to bounce the stomach muscles by doing a may, 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 may. 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 You might even with the lower ones, if it starts going may, and go into there, you can stop, adjust. That might be just a little too low at this point. That's okay. You can always stop and try a few technical things and then see, okay, it's not necessarily that it's not part of my range. It's just that I wasn't applying certain things that made it go back here. So you could stop. Sometimes with those, I'll say, speak it. May, project the sound. May, and then try may. You're just kind of hitting that note there and see if it feels comfortable. The last thing you want to do with these is just, again, trying to squeeze them out. It's like that doesn't help you. Anytime you're just trying to hit notes just to hit them, it's not really going to help because we can't really use those notes, or should we want to use those notes as part of our really good range, because it's not going to do us justice. There's tons of songs and there's ways we can adjust keys, and that will really help us. So in most audiences, I say this frequently, they don't know what the note is. They just know what they hear. So they're not going to, we may know the notes, and that might be a bit of our ego kind of like jumping in there and be like, oh, but I want to. And it's like, don't do it to yourself, because you're not doing yourself a favor. So that being said, with those lower ones there, you might stop, you might try and adjust things, make sure the breathing stays in, and see if you can get it from there. All right, let's finish things up. So we're going to finish things up right now with addressing the higher range. There's a couple of different things that we can do in through there. We have a couple of different tones or sounds that can be created. We have our head voice, ooh, that light, and then we have our belt, yeah, the bigger notes there. I always end with a nice belt because I don't want to do... that one uses the most energy. It tends to be one that's a little bit more problematic. Don't get too much in your head about that, but it can be. And so we want to save that one for last. So today we'll do a nice light head voice, and we're just going to use the word who. We're keeping things nice and open. We're just again, bouncing the stomach muscles. I noticed I started to open up. Right? So it started to really open up in through there. Again, with this stuff as well, I'm going to change that there. With this stuff as well, you want to make sure that you go till it is comfortable. And again, just like with the lower stuff, if it starts to feel like it's going back or it starts to feel a little like you're getting that, try and adjust something. See if applying some technical things helps. If not, back away from it. But sometimes we hit these certain natural breaks in the voice and we might think, oh, I can't go there because it's not feeling right. But it just, again, that's the intention of warming up. It needs to kind of be worked into that right placement, the forward part of the mouth. We're opening up here. We're going to start to utilize more of the hard palate here to help carry that sound. So we're going to finish things up here and we're going to end with a little belt. This is so important that with this here, we are really engaging the stomach muscles. We're giving some more support here. We're pushing more. It's kind of like, and I hate to say this because sometimes people take it so literal. It's like a pretty kind of shout, but sometimes we want to think about it a bit that way. It's like, hey, hey, or yeah, yeah, yeah. You're kind of, right? You can hear there's a nice rich sound to it, but it isn't your, it's not that light sound. And also keep in mind, I'm dealing a lot with contemporary. I deal with my singers with contemporary musical theater, which can be very different than the classical realm of things. I probably should have put a little note in the beginning of this to kind of explain that there, because I'm not a classical teacher. I have studied some of it in the past and it's beautiful, but I always feel like it wasn't my passion. So it's not where I went. So that being said, we're going to finish up with this one, especially for my beginners. We're starting with a single note, one note here, and we're just doing a nice ba, 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 ba. Ooh, if I play the right note. Ba, 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 ba. Now you notice as it got higher. Sometimes people, when they start to go down, they make sure that energy and that sound stays forward. So we've reached the end. Like I mentioned, be sure to check out the free module below where I dive even more in depth with these. You can find inserts of the PDF from my book. You can find tracks that you can use to warm up. You can also find a really cool PDF where I give some beginner songs. And again, that's always with the precautionary note that, you know, some people have a little bit higher voices, some have a little bit lower. So there's a range of different things there, but I kind of picked a midpoint that I felt most of my singers go off of. And so, or start at, I should say. So if you liked this, it would be amazing. And it really, really does help you. If you watch anything else, it really helps if you hit that subscribe button down there, stay in the loop because there's more videos that are coming. Be sure to comment if this helped you. I love reading feedback. And if you have any ideas, if there's certain things that you are running into, love to be able to help. So onward we go. Be sure to do this every time before you sing so you can really bring out your voice. Bye now.